What do you think of the decision by Jerry Jones to bring back Mike McCarthy?
You know, Greeny, I'm actually glad that I'm here today on Friday. Usually I'm normally not here. And sometimes you need to, when you have these type of things happen so fast, you're emotional. And I felt emotional when I initially said what I said. But damn it, I feel the same way, okay? I feel the same way because I'm looking at Mike McCarthy, okay, in his tenure, okay, 4 years, 3 straight years. He's had, 12 wins?
12 wins.
12 wins, that's great. Congratulations, 12 wins in the regular season. But we know when it comes to the star, it's not about the regular season. It's about postseason. It's about championship. Jerry Jones has sat on his radio show many a times talking about time is running out for him. Time is running out. Like, I need to see something, some results, a championship. How is bringing Mike McCarthy getting you closer to a championship right now? Explain that to me, okay? You had Dak having an MVP-type season. You've had a plethora of all-pros littered all across this roster. CeeDee Lamb could possibly be the Offensive Player of the Year. And you get bounced out in the wild card round at home where you've been dominant for basically 2 seasons. Someone explain to me where bringing back Mike McCarthy gets you closer to a championship. I'll sit back. I wish I had coffee because I would just sip it right now.
Well, Mike Tannenbaum is a professor now. He does teach a law class at Columbia. So go ahead. You raised your hand politely. Yeah. Explain it to him.
Look, for 11 months of the year, we sit here and we praise, and we should, organizations like the Pittsburgh Steelers about being
we're going to get into them, too.
Oh, yeah, we are. Yeah.
All right.
So
go ahead.
Jerry Jones taking the long view about a coach who's done great things in the regular season, 36 wins, and got a quarterback to play better than he ever has, who could have been the MVP of the entire league. Now, all of a sudden, for 2 weeks, we want to be emotional and reactionary. That's not how to build a long-term, stable program. And when you look at guys like Mike Tomlin and Sean Payton, they have as many championships as Mike McCarthy. And here's something else, guys. If the 5 of us were running ESPN Bet, and we had to set the odds, the over-under for wins for the next 3 years, Greeny, and it was 36, those would be unbelievably high odds.
Right.
Point being is, the replacement, there is no sure thing it's going to be better.
I understand that. Graziano's going to give us a list in a minute that everyone needs to hear, but I understand that. The point is, those of us who are on the other side of your argument are not saying Mike McCarthy is a bad football coach or that he's done a bad job, but that every once in a while you say to yourself, we've gotten from point A to point B, but if our goal is to get to point C, this guy has not demonstrated that he is able to get us there. Maybe someone else, particularly in a year in which someone like Bill Belichick is available, it would be, I think, a breach of your fiduciary responsibility not to at least kick that tire when no one is looking.
So, Greeny, both things could be true. You could keep Mike McCarthy and say it has to get better. His clock management is atrocious. It is unacceptable. I would say to him, how are we going to – give me that back. How are we going to change that? And that's why it's really important to – we got to – bifurcate this. You can keep Mike McCarthy, and you can still look for improvement. Those are not.
Didn't they do that last year?
And the year before.
Yeah, they did that last year. That's the problem. See, we keep bringing up the word time. Jerry Jones is walking the green mile. He ain't got a lot of time left.
Boy.
Like, I'm not trying to kill Jerry Jones.
No, don't kill Jerry Jones.
Remember, I got to the Ravens right after Art Modell pushed all his chips to the middle of the table because he knew he didn't have much time left, and he knew it was time to win. It's time for Jerry Jones to go, Jerry, I don't like this new patient, calm, let's listen to reason Jerry. We need him to be all in. You talk about Mike McCarthy and the fact that he has a Super Bowl ring. That's great. It's not with the Dallas Cowboys, so he doesn't have any equity there. Right. At this point, you're talking about he has a championship program, but he doesn't have a championship culture. And that's always been the problem in Dallas. When they get punched in the face, and I said it here a couple of weeks ago, they're front runners. And front runners is about personnel, and it's about identity. They don't have one. And what happens is they're built to play from the lead. But the playoffs ain't about that. They remind me of like the Phoenix Suns. They're always going to dominate and win when they go against teams that they're better than. But when they go against teams that have somebody on the other sideline that can beat them, they can't match up. Listen, it should not take them that long to realize that, hey, they're playing a bunch of man beaters on us and they're crossing routes and we're going to have to communicate. It shouldn't take to halftime. You should be able to make those adjustments. That's what real good coaches do. And in the playoffs, we've been a part of that. Remember, we went out, we knocked off Phillip Rivers. We knocked off Tom Brady. We knocked off Peyton Manning because our coach can make in-game adjustments.
Right.
They don't have enough guys that can do that. So it's a culture thing. They got to cultivate that, or Jerry Jones ain't going to get what he wants.
Graziano, get in here.
And that's like, if you want to make the decision of like this guy, there's something structurally wrong that makes him unable to win us playoffs.
They're too comfortable.
Then fine. Then you either need to address that with him and guarantee that he'll work on changing it, or you need to find somebody who can. But the second part's tricky. You know how many coaches in the history of the league have won more postseason games than Mike McCarthy?
Yeah, but we're not
9. Okay, so he's got 11 career postseason wins. But that is more. That is more than Bill Walsh. It's more than Jimmy Johnson. It's more than Sean Payton, Tony Dungy, Mike Shanahan. It's 3 more than Mike Tomlin. So my point is this. It's too small a sample size to make your judgment on. If you're Jerry Jones and you want to say, I believe in this man, and I think that he can make improvement. We saw it during the year. They changed what they were doing on offense during the season, right? So he's willing to adjust. He hasn't shown the ability to do it in playoff games. And if you want to fire somebody based on that, we need to bring in somebody that doesn't get out-schemed by Kyle Shanahan and Matt LaFleur every year. Fair. But it's also fair to say, I'd rather go with the 50-plus game sample size of this guy than the 4-game sample size of this guy. I think that's a reasonable decision to make if you're Jerry Jones.
Give me that record against teams above 500. That's what I want to know, because anybody can, when you have more talent than anybody, be able to win that way. They need to figure some things out, right? And he's already fired the offensive coach. He's probably going to lose his defensive coordinator. What has he showed you that he can be able to out-coach another good coach with another good quarterback?
In the meantime, this is a game that has absolutely everything at stake on both sides. For the Chiefs, this is another opportunity for them to sort of cement themselves as a dynasty. This is a huge step for them, their first road playoff game of this iteration in Kansas City. And we all know that how badly Josh Allen needs this win here. And Dan Orlovsky was telling me yesterday, and it dovetails into what I know your point is, they need to get Allen through the beginning part of this game. He's going to be so hyped up and so much competitiveness in him. The Bills themselves need to sort of get him through the early part of the game, which plays to how you believe they need to win this game.
Yeah, I think that James Cook needs to be a featured guy in this game. And I agree absolutely with what Daniel was talking about, because when you go in this game, you finally got the opportunity. You're at home against Patrick Mahomes, the situation that you've been clamoring for years. And, you know, guys like Josh Allen are always hyped up and everything. James Cook can be that guy that kind of gets things settled down early on. He's such a dynamic player, not only running out of the backfield, but as a pass catcher as well. I think he's a guy that can create mismatches against this very good Kansas City Chiefs defense because of how you can deploy him out there.
It's about the first 15-play script, right? It's about coming out, getting Josh into a rhythm. You go out there in your 15-play script and you do everything, and you see how they react to it. It's about gathering data and being able to see how they're reacting, because everybody's game plan is specific. The game plans get really tight in the playoffs, right? And those who have the best game plan and able to jump on teams early are the ones that get out to.
What do you mean by tight? When you say they get tight?
They get tight. They're small packages. They don't have big game plans. It's about playing fast. It's about, especially when you have some familiarity with the opponents. Me, D. Wood, TB, we've been in these situations. We've gone out and upset people on the road, and also at home. But it's about, being able to play fast and be able to, because people get tight and people get nervous, right? Because the moment overcomes them. That's why we saw those glazed looks over Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott's face last week, because it's the same thing, but, everybody reacts to it differently.
I want to ask a question. Will, you could put the picks up on the screen here, because as you'll see, a lot of people in this room, 3 of the 4 to be specific, like Buffalo here, the Bills are a 2.5-point favorite. But I want to talk about the home field advantage piece of this. The Chiefs have never played a road playoff game in this iteration, and they've had a lot of problems on their offensive line. Mike T never stops talking about their offensive tackle.
Yeah, and it's ironic because Bart talks about the road wins, and we got D. Wood, who played great for us, which is they led the league in penalties, Greeny, and it's going to show up on this weekend because of the crowd noise, and Jawan Taylor and Donovan Smith, they have struggled all year long. So we're going in the game talking about Josh Allen. We're going to be walking out talking about those penalties killing the Chiefs.
Well, that's the point, because now Bart was telling me in the makeup room this morning, you're going to go on a silent count and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Is that how much of an advantage is that for the Bills' defense?
Huge. When that's why everyone wants to have home playoff games, because you have all of the advantages in these particular situations. That crowd up in Buffalo is one of the best home environments, particularly at this time of year, because it's cold, the elements, the crowd noise, it all plays a factor. And we've seen time and time again with this Kansas City Chiefs offensive line, particularly their tackles, they've had issues all year long. Home, away, it doesn't matter. So it will be a factor in this game.
Yeah, and it compounds when you have receivers that aren't consistent with their hands. So you get nervous about that. If you drop one early, does that set the tempo? Like now you're starting to think, oh man, I dropped the pass, and you carry that to the next play. You talk about also being able to make the adjustments, right? Late shifts and motions from the defense and inverting your safeties, make you have to have communication with your receivers trying to get into the right play. So communication is key on the road, especially from an offensive standpoint. If you have a veteran team in Buffalo that's going to not show you what type of defense they're in to post-snap at times, will the receivers still be able to make those communications with their eyes, because it won't be communicated pre-snap?
Yeah, I think that with Kansas City, with Buffalo, Josh Allen, this Kansas City Chiefs defense, they're the best at giving up the least amount of explosive plays.
Right.
So I think the key for this game, like for Josh Allen, how patient can he be? We used to do that all the time when I was in New England going up against Peyton Manning. Can make him go the long, hard way. If you don't give up explosive plays, can he be patient enough to have those long drives and ultimately score? That's going to be the test for Josh Allen in this game.
And let's very quickly, coming back to Dan, who I think notably is the only one taking Kansas City, and you've consistently mentioned these Bills' defensive injuries. For the fans who aren't really aware, exactly what are we talking about, and how significant should we expect this to be?
It's too many to list. I mean, they were without Rasul Douglas, the cornerback, last week. It sounds like he might play, but they lost another cornerback in Benford. They lost the middle linebacker in Terrell Bernard. Geez, their punter got hurt in this game. Honestly, it was just my point is
it's big. That's real position is key in this.
Yeah, like they play an A.J. Klein at middle linebacker, who they signed off the street 2 weeks ago. He was packing up, no joke, packing up an RV to take his family to Key West, and got the call from the Bills. Can you come play for us? Now he's maybe going to have to start with the green dot. I just think I think ultimately it's too much for them to overcome.
Greedy, the great equalizer, all that. Josh Allen with his legs, and you want to calm down a guy that's really competitive.
Let him run.
Yeah, design runs early in the game.
Will Stroud be sensational again tomorrow afternoon?
I think he will be. I think he will be good. Nothing bothers him. Nothing really bothers him. It's not like he's going to see anything that he hasn't seen before. Like, he's seen a lot of these type of blitzes and things like that. So the way they call their game plan for this quarterback, they let him rip. Okay, and I think he's going to have some success against
Across the board, Baltimore picks again. Bart, go.
Well, I'm a bit nervous because I was there last time Lamar Jackson was the MVP and they lost to the Titans. They came in their house. This is a different Lamar Jackson. This is a guy that can run, and I think he's been saving his legs for this moment because he wanted to make sure he got through the regular season healthy. But I think you get the full buffet of what Lamar Jackson brings to the table. I was at that first game. And C.J. Stroud didn't look like a rookie. It was the first game of the season. He threw for 242 yards. He wasn't rattled. Marlon Humphreys being hurt is going to be a key factor. Mm-hmm. He'll be able to throw the ball, but I think the Ravens are just too much.
Yeah. We're going to see how great C.J. Stroud is. They will not be able to run the ball. If Houston wins, we're going to be talking about superstar status for C.J. Stroud.
Baltimore smashed the 49ers. They smashed the Dolphins. Same kind of offense. I just think they're set up to play this offense well, and I think on defense they'll dominate.